Hey everyone, welcome to video number 3, and in this video what we're going to do is we're going to show how to set up a table in Visual Pinball. Basically we covered the hardware of my table, we covered the installation of the main files or software that runs Visual Pinball with, if you have a cabinet with the DMDs and the lighting and all that. We'll kind of go a little bit more into the lighting I think in a later video. But I just kind of want to give you this to show you like how to kind of quickly set it up if you're familiar with it at all, or if you've never seen it, at least you have an idea of how it's kind of set up, with what software is needed, hardware, and maybe we go more into detail about how to set up the Ledwiz board with the Zeb's main board to show how all that actually works with the cabling and all that. So in this one though, this video we're going to show how to just set up a quick table without a front end, just to get a table loaded and how to play it. So basically what we're going to do is that I already have 2 of the files loaded for Cactus Canyon of what would be needed on my table. Again, I already had everything set up at one time, and I'm doing a clean install because I was having a couple lockup issues and all that. So I was like, well, this is a good time just to make a video with it as I'm recreating my table again, with all the new games put back on it in a clean, brand new install. So basically what I have here now is Cactus Canyon. We're going to use that as our example or our table to show how everything is set up. So basically how it's done is that there's 2 sites that I use for my stuff. One is vpforums.org. I covered that in our last video. And then there's another website called VP Universe. And VP Universe has some tables that VP Forums doesn't carry. There's like a newness issue because the rule was that, if a table's kind of new, that a virtual pin shouldn't have been made for it. So basically, VP Forums doesn't carry those tables, like the newer Sterns and all that. VP Universe sometimes does. So, that's if you want to look for a table that VP Forums doesn't carry, then you would go to VP Universe. And now the same kind of goes for back glasses and stuff as well. Sometimes VP Forums doesn't carry a certain back glass that you're looking for in a certain format. So VP Universe may have it, or vice versa, So these are the 2 sites that are pretty big within the hobby of the virtual pin. So basically that's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of flip-flop between both of these. So to get the tables and stuff like that to use in your virtual pin for Visual Pinball, go to vpforums.org, which is here. If you go to Visual Pinball Tables here, and if you go to All here, and I just do a search for like Cactus Canyon here. So I'll hit downloads, or just search, I'm sorry. So now here's everything for Cactus Canyon. So basically what you need to download is a ROM, which is this right here. Cactus Canyon like 1.3 ROM, cc13.zip. The table, which I would use a full screen table, like this High Noon mod full screen. I would use that, possibly. I think that's a night table, maybe. That's like a darker table. I don't know, maybe this is the night mod. The night mod right here is the night table or whatever. So anything that has FS usually after it is called full screen. So if you have a cabinet like I have, that's what you would use. You'd use like the FS mod, which means full screen. So you would download that, download the ROM, you would download both of those, and then also they don't have, if you're kind of looking here, there's back glass, there's a UVP active back glass. Well, that's not a B2S back glass like we kind of installed that B2S server. These are the older formats, UVP and the active that runs in a different kind of format, which had a tendency to crash and stuff like that. So then they went to the B2S server, which actually runs a bit better. So basically that's what you're kind of looking for. And if you go to VP Universe, they have that. So I did the same thing. I went to downloads, did a search for Cactus Canyon, hit the magnify glass for the search, and this is what came up. So DB2S, that's what you're looking for. You know, that's the format and what you're looking for. So you would download that as well. So that will run with what we're trying to do. So if you download all those files, which I have done already, basically what you're going to do is you're going to install both the Cactus Canyon Direct B2S file and the Cactus Canyon VPT file, which is your virtual pinball table. Now, these two files have to be the same name. They have to, I always kind of keep them the same. So if one is called Cactus Canyon 1.06, the Direct B2S has to be the same exact name. Cactus Canyon 1.06. If you don't have them the same name, they won't run. They won't find each other. You need to have them as the same name. That's with all your tables that you download. Make sure the names are the same format when you download them in. And then with the ROM that you downloaded, you would go to your programs file, Visual Pinball folder, vpin main, and then go to ROMs. And that's where you would stick that ROM and leave them zipped. Do not unzip them. Leave them the same exact name as what they come down in. CC_13 was the one, and I have both, CC_12. I have both ROMs, the older one and the newer one. But you want to leave those the same name in a zip format. Put them in that ROMs folder. And then what you want to do is go back to your tables folder and open up. Well, the way I usually do is that I'll open up Visual Pinball. Go to Open. Usually that's the directory that I'll point it at, tables. Open up Cactus Canyon. Now here's the table. Now if you want to play it, you go to Table, Play. But what you want to do to have the backlash work, the DB2S file that we downloaded, this file, the Cactus Canyon 1.0, as your backlash, you need to make an altercation to your file with all your Visual Pinball. Every table you download, this is what you're going to have to do to get that to work. You would have to go to Edit, Script, and then this opens up. And they're all kind of different, but they all kind of work the same way. If you could see it here, it says Case 1, Set Controller, VPin Main Controller, Set 2, Ultra VP, which was what we saw before in that backlash, and Case 3, Set Controller, Create Object B2S Server. That's the one that you want. You want that. So how you activate that in this one is that up here on line 7, it says CONST C controller equals. Now it's either 1 for VPin main controller, 2 for the Ultra VP backlash server, or 3 for the B2S server. So in our instance, we want 3 because that's what we have on our software that we installed, the B2S server, as we covered in our last video. So you would type in 3 right here as it is now. That will activate the B2S server backlash when the game launches. Now here, if you look at conc game name, this is the ROM file that it's looking for, as we had here. So what it's doing is it's pulling this file here. It's looking for that file name, which is this ROM. So that's how it knows what ROM to load when it launches the game. My screen got messed up. So basically, that's how the table knows to launch. What ROM that works the table. So on every table, you're going to have to do that. Open up the script file as we did, and choose the backlist of what you're going to use for your table. If you don't do that, then it won't work right. You kind of have to do that and alter. There's no way to say, all right, for every table, this is what I want to do. You're going to have to alter every table, as I had to do that. I downloaded as I went on with, downloading my Visual Pinball table. So there's 3 files you need to download to get any table to work. And again, it's the ROM, which you would put in your VPin MAME ROMs folder for the table, and you would have to download the B2S backlash if that's what you're using as direct B2S, and the actual table, whatever it would be called. And again, these two files have to be the same exact name. If you're off by a space, you're off by a character, whatever it is, it will not work. It has to be identical for that to actually work. And then when we go into setting up Pinball X, you're going to see in the script file, or the file that actually makes the front end work and finds your tables within Visual Pinball. Again, the table has to be exactly the name of what it is here. So we'll get to that next. So next we're probably going to go and set up Pinball X as a front end. Now that we know how to set up a table without a front end, next we're going to set up Visual Pinball. And again, right now I have my tables in my video card, or my video display here, for just one monitor. And again, we're kind of looking at, I'm remoting into my table next to me here. So this is one monitor and this is the other. So this is the playfield, the backlash, and the DMD is on the actual pinball machine. So if we go to table, play, that's the backlash, and this is the playfield. And again, if we didn't have those settings right in the script file of the table, this backlash would not come up. It has animations and all. You see the lights blinking and all that. So that's kind of a summary of how to set up a table within Visual Pinball. And again, next we're going to do the Pinball X setup. Here's another version of another table, which is Attack from Mars. And before, how Cactus Canyon was, the menus are a bit different in the script file. So this is another script file when I go to edit script, when I open up a table. And again, we're looking at the B2S server to get that to function. And you see up here, like at Cactus Canyon, there was a choice where it said 1, 2, or 3, you know, and put 1 or 2 or 3 to, you know, activate whatever backlash you wanted. Well, this one's a bit different, this table, and a lot of the older ones were more like this. So you probably will run into something like this. So just so you know kind of where to look and what to do on this type of table for your backlash. If you look at these two lines right here, one is called Set Controller Create Object B2S Server. The other, Set Controller equals Create Object VPin MAME Controller. Well, that's two different type of backlashes. So what you want to do is either A, usually the default in the older tables is this one, VPin MAME Controller. And sometimes this line isn't even there. So what you need to do is enter that line with that type of, you know, that setting, you know, or that, you know, type in that whole command line, I'll say. And what you need to do is rem out the other line. And the way to rem out a line, meaning not to have it activate, is if you see this little apostrophe before it. Well, if I backspace that and take it out, you see how the line turns blue. But now if I put the apostrophe back in, it turns green. So when it's green, it means it's remmed out, as this is standard definitions. This is just a holding place to tell you, or tell the programmer, you know, you want to be detailed. You kind of want to put little notes of what is what, so it's, you know, organized and all that. So people use rem statements. So that's what I just did. I remmed that out. And if you enter this line, that line will activate your B2S server without, you know, the other ones give you an option. Well, if that option's not there, you need to manually type this line in. So that's how you would do it. I'll have that in the show notes as well, that line of the command line for the script file. And again, the ROM file, remember, Cactus Canyon, was up here somewhere. It was up in the top. Well, for this one, the ROM file of what it finds is here. So again, here's two ROM files, AFM 113 _113B and AFM underscore 113. So basically, one's a home ROM, one's the arcade ROM. So they're both command lines are there, but this line for AFM underscore 113 is remmed out, so that one doesn't function because there's an apostrophe before it. It's green. So this line, the AFM underscore 113B, is the ROM file which is actually being used for this table. So that file would have to be in the ROM folder of your Visual Pinball. So if we go back to Visual Pinball, vpin main ROMs, remember we put our Cactus Canyons in there. I don't have it in there. I'm just kind of doing this as a test. But this AFM underscore 113B zipped file needs to be in there that you would download from VP forums. So in order for the table to work. So that's just another way of setting up a B2S server command line in your script file in order to make that work within Visual Pinball. Okay, in this part of the video, we're going to show how to install Pinball X, which is the front end of Visual Pinball. If you have a cab, if you're running a cabinet and you want like a nice way to present your tables, this is what you would use. So basically, if you go to Pinball X and you download it here, download Pinball X here, current version 2.04. You would download it, which I already have, and I actually already installed it, which is right there. So if I go to my settings and go to advanced, and the directory where I installed it to was C, program files, x86, Pinball X. So that's where it is now. So if I go to advanced, and I just kind of go through it here, this is all pretty much by default. Display settings is kind of what you would need to change. If you're using direct B2S, like we kind of are on this cabinet, I would click on yes, which is a drop-down menu. Display 2 is a backlit display. DMD enabled, yes. Display 3, which is my DMD. Position pin name, no. Hide pin name, no. Use pin name in front end, no. Window full screen, that's for the play field. Full screen window, no. Crop wheel image, yes. A lot of this is by default. And here backglass width 1920 by 1080, I changed those settings. And here my DMD is 900 by 300, so I changed those settings as well. So you kind of have to change some settings on, here. The audio settings, I kind of knocked it down to 50 and 40 because it's kind of loud when it's at 100. You can always adjust that later. GameX Online, no. I don't do anything really online with it. This is all by default. I didn't really change anything here. Keyboard settings I changed. I pretty much, when you click these little dots, you could go to your cab or click on it. It's going to ask you what key to pick. So you would just hit the button on your cabinet of what you want to control what. So left and right, I believe that's like your flipper buttons. Select is like your select on your cabinet, which I have like the coin up or start the game. So that's what it is on my cabinet. Page left scrolls through your tables through Pinball X. So I have an additional button above my shift. The flipper buttons up on the cabinet, so they're above those buttons. So that's what this is: left control key, right control key. Exit emulator is a button underneath my cabinet. Pause, if I hit the left control key, it'll pause the cabinet once I'm in a game. And those I don't really use throughout the game, so I don't have anything. That's by default. Joystick I don't do anything with. That's by default. Future Pinball, I don't use it, I turn it off. So here you would enable it if you had Future Pinball, but for mine I have no. Visual Pinball, yes. And here are the paths to where everything is in Visual Pinball. So if you look at the working path, it's set for C program files, x86, Visual Pinball, which is that. Same as for the table path, except if you open that up, tables, so that's where that's pointing to. And the executable is pointing to that, vPinball 991. So, and everything else is by default. Pinball FX2, have it turned off. MAME, turned off. Attract mode, so if you're not using the table and it's sitting for a couple minutes, it'll go into attract mode. That's by default. That's by default. That's by default. And that's by default. And that's it. So that's how my Pinball X is set up. I'm sure everybody's is different. So now we're going to set up a table through Pinball X. So if we go to C, Program Files, x86, Pinball X, my folder is in there. So if we want to set up a table in Pinball X, you would go to Databases, Visual Pinball, because that's what this folder is called. Now if I do an older version of Pinball, Visual Pinball 9.1, this is 991. So if I want to run Big Bang Bar, I'm going to create another folder called Visual Pinball 9.1, and then I would create another folder in here called Visual Pinball 9.1, and that would be dedicated, or it would point to that folder called Visual Pinball 9.1. So this folder is pointing to this folder within Pinball X. So you kind of want to name it whatever you have it in your C directory, you want to name it in Pinball X the same thing. So now if I click on that, and I look at this file here, Visual Pinball, if I right click on that and put open with Notepad, I already set this up before, but I have two tables in here now, Cactus Canyon and Medieval Madness. So basically, what you want to do is, the description is exactly how it is here by default. They have one, when you set up the game, install it, there's two tables in there already, and they kind of lay this template out for you. But when you're changing, you need to change the name and the template of here and here. Description and game name. And how that goes is that, again, if we go back to your table folder, program folders, Visual Pinball, tables. Now the two tables we have set up in here is Cactus Canyon and Medieval Madness. Cactus Canyon is identical to the way it's spelled here. So it has to duplicate exactly to a T the way it is here. And the way that I usually do it, so I know I won't mess it up, is I'll highlight it, right click on that, hit copy, go to here, and just copy over whatever it is in here, and just go paste. Same thing as here. Paste. So I know I'm typing it in right. So now if I go to Medieval Madness, which is here, again, highlight the name of the table, copy, go in here, paste. So now I know I'm not messing it up as I'm typing it in. So you can type it in, you can put an extra space in there, an extra character, not have a space, any change to what it is in your Visual Pinball script file here to what it is in your location of your tables here, it won't work in Pinball X. It'll just come up all weird and you won't even see it. So it has to be exactly the way it is in both locations. So we'll save that. So now we're going to input media files within Visual Pinball. And the media files, like as you're going through your table in Pinball X, the front end of Pinball X will show you a video like as your table and on the back glass, and also it shows you a like a little icon that kind of represents what table it is. So the way that you set those up is if you go to Pinball X, Media folder, again, Visual Pinball, and again, if I have another folder in here called Visual Pinball 9.1, it needs to be exactly the way that it is in your C programs file, x86, Visual Pinball, whatever the folder is in there, it needs to be exactly representing the location in there. However it's spelt there, needs to be spelt like that in here as well. So we're going to go in here because that's our visual pinball table. And now there's 3 locations usually of what I do in my tables. Backlash video, table video, and wheel images. And that's the icon I was talking about. And basically how you do all that is that you would go into Backlash video and download, and again, I have these already, but you would find this on VP Forums and VP Universe. And if you go to VP Universe, as I already have here now, they have a directory here for preview videos. And again, it's PF video. These are all your Backlash videos. They have your playfield videos. And you would take those videos and put them in the representing folder. So Backlash video would go into Backlash video. And again, as you can see with the files, they are spelt the same exact way as they're spelt here in your tables. Everything needs to match up. Cactus Canyon 1.06. So if you download it and the name is different than what you have in your pinball table here in Visual Pinball, it won't work. You won't see it come up. It needs to kind of talk to, so it needs to know exactly, hey, that's the file in your pinball visual table. It needs to be spelt the same exact way in each corresponding folder. So Backlash videos, table videos, same thing. Needs to be spelt the same way here to here. And wheel images. And wheel images, again, you could download that from vpforums.org. And again, spelt the same way as it is here, identical to your table. So everything matches your tables in your tables folder. And if it doesn't, it won't work. So I can't emphasize that enough of how much they need to match. And again, if you go to vpforums.org, and I go to downloads, and I go to Cactus Canyon, these are the wheel images that you download that I just showed. So you would download these or the videos or whatever and then port them into corresponding folders. Now if there's no video that's out there for your table, then you would download an image and you would put that in table images, table images desktop, or I'm sorry, table images, DMD images, or Backlash images. So if there's no Backlash video in your preview mode, you know, when your tables are sitting here and you're going through your tables, then you would grab an image and put it in your Backlash images. And again, it needs to be the same exact name as it is in your table folder for the corresponding pinball machine. So that's how you would set up Pinball X. I just wanted to show you this video. This is kind of, and it's an older video I did before I blew away my pinball cabinet and kind of redid it from scratch again. But basically what's this going to show you is the front end of Pinball X. And this is the Backlash. I have 2 cameras, the Backlash with the DMD, and this is the playfield on the right hand side. And basically as you advance and exit out of the game and advance through Pinball X, the front end will come up once you exit out of the game, and then basically the videos of what we talked about and where you put the files, the videos for your Backlash would represent this side, this picture image, and then the tables video would be, you know, here once we start kind of going. And the other one, the wheel images, are these images that represent the name of the game. So you see as we scroll how everything kind of changes, the table, the Backlash, and the actual wheel images as you go. And it's not keeping up because I'm going pretty fast, but you kind of got to go slow through it for all the images to kind of, and videos to kind of keep up. But that's kind of how it works. And then once you're happy with whatever game you want to play, then you would go on it and then just hit the start button and then you would play the game. So that's kind of how Pinball X actually works as a front end. And I'm going to make a video later on showing how to set up different versions of Visual Pinball, because again, not all the tables work in all the different emulations of Visual Pinball. So if you have the newest one of 991, if something was created in 9.1, it may not work right in 991, so you kind of got to resort back to the old emulator, but you want that emulator to work in Pinball X. So I'm going to show how to do that, but I kind of just wanted to show this initially, just how to get Pinball X running. And basically that's how it works. You know, that's your setup for Pinball X. So the next video again is going to show different versions of Visual Pinball and Pinball X. And then I'll probably set up my camera and kind of do an over-the-shot video of the playfield of my pinball machine and show the buttons and show how it works to what we set up here in Pinball X on this time. So stay tuned for that video. Thanks for watching, and again, you can watch all these videos on my YouTube channel, and I have a website at www.pinballsupernova.com. I also have a Facebook page and also a Twitter page. And if you like my videos, please subscribe to them on YouTube, and I will see you for the next video. Thanks for watching.